Okay, we're working on the plotting workshop. Now we're gonna see how to do the process for working with a vertical line. Vertical lines are the ones that have a formula that says x equals a particular number. Okay, if you see a formula like this one, then you basically have a vertical line. Something you need to understand is that vertical lines are not functions, they are relations. Any drawing you might see on a graph or any formula you might find is basically a relation, but only few of those with specific traits, we could say it like that. Only a few are considered functions. Vertical lines are not functions, they're just relations. Okay, so the process for working on it is kind of similar to the one we've been doing on the other one. So we're going to begin always with step one. Step one, table of values. Now, if you notice, the formula doesn't say y equals or fx. Basically, the formula is telling you the number that x is going to be. This is x equals 4. That means x is not going to be any other number. X has to be 4. That's something you need to consider when drawing the table of values. When you're drawing the table of values, you're going to have to remember that. So we're going to make this table, and we're going to put x in here. We're going to put y in here. Yes. Color this thing. And on the axis, we're going to have to put number 4. Why? Because x is number 4. That's what the formula is telling you. X is number 4. So I'm going to have to put 4 on all of the x's. Okay. It's not the usual -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. In this case, the x is 4 because the formula is telling you that x has to be 4 and not another number. Now, the formula doesn't say anything about y, so letter y can be any number. We're going to use, in this case, the numbers that we've been using always on the other side. -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Because y can be any number, I'm going to use those because those are kind of like the simplest numbers you might try to work with. Okay, so that will be our table of values. We don't need to do any calculations in here. We just need to understand what the formula was telling you. Once we have this step done, we can continue with the step 2. Step 2 will be drawing the graph, right? So for the graph, as usual, you're going to need a coordinate plane. You're going to draw it from -5 to 5, from -5 to 5, both on x and y axis. Okay. You're going to use the numbers of the table of values to locate points on this coordinate plane. So the first point is going to be 4, -2. Okay. 4, -2. So I'm going to go horizontally to 4 and vertically to -2. So this is where the first point should be marked. Okay, I'm going to mark it in there. I'm going to continue with the other points. Okay, the next one is 4, -1. So I'm going to go horizontally to 4, vertically to -1. This will be 4, -1. So 4, -1 will be there. 4, 0 will be, I go horizontally to 4 and I stay in there because staying in a position is what we basically assume as 0. So that will be 4, 0. The next one is 4, 1. So I'm going to go to 4 and from there I'm going to go up 1 position. So that will be 4, 1. And 4, 2 will be basically, yes, this place, if you figured it out. That's where 4, 2 should be. Okay. Once you have marked the points, you grab your ruler and you draw the line that's going to connect them. Okay. You're going to notice that it is a vertical line. So once you have done this, if you're working somewhere outside your notebook, then you're gonna have to cut it and paste it on your notebook. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna cut it and paste it on my notebook, in this case, like on the computer on the screen. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it, paste it on a piece of paper that I was working on. Okay, it will be something like this. Okay, and we need to put arrows on this, right? Remember to put arrows on the drawing. So something like this. Okay, you put arrows on the drawing, and that will be step number 2. We already have the graph, and we already have the table of values on step 1, so now we're gonna go with the step number 3. Okay, so step number 3 would be finding the intercepts. Okay, remember that we have 2 types of intercepts. One is the x-intercept, the other one is the y-intercept. Okay, so for the x-intercept, I'm going to have to copy the formula of the exercise, x equals 4. Okay, so that's what I'm going to put, x equals 4. I'm not going to put y because you cannot change an x with an y. Okay, they're not the same thing, they're different, so that will be changing the exercise itself. Okay, now on the previous ones I changed fx with y because fx and y are basically the same thing in this case. But if you only have an x, that's something different. Okay, x and y are different variables, so we're not going to change it. We're going to leave it like that. Okay, x equals 0, that's the formula, so that's how we're going to leave it. On the x-intercept, I need to change letter y with 0 because I don't have a letter y here. I'm not going to do anything. Okay, and I'm supposed to find x. Now, if you noticed, the formula kind of like already tells me which number is x, so I don't need to complicate that much. I already have x, so all I need to do is basically explain which is going to be the x-intercept. Okay, so in this case you can see that the x-intercept is going to have to be, remember that this thing has to be an x comma y point, so on the x I'm going to put the number that I found, which is 4, and on the y, remember the other letter on the x-intercept is always 0, so on the y I'm going to put 0. So the x-intercept will be 4, 0. And if you verify, you can see that in the graph on the x-axis, like the horizontal line with the numbers, you're going to see that the drawing is passing by 4, 0. So that's okay. That will be the x-intercept. You can verify it, that everything is fine. And now we're going to go to see, trying to find the y-intercept. Okay, so the equation of the exercise is x equals 4, and remember that on the y-intercept we need to change the x with 0, so I'm going to change the x with 0, be 0 equals 4, and you can see that this is basically like a nonsense because 0 and 4 are not the same thing. So this kind of like gives me the hint that there is no solution for this thing because this cannot be solved. This is impossible. Okay, 0 equals 4, that's never gonna happen. So because there's no solution, I can say that the y-intercept doesn't exist, right? There is no y-intercept in this case, and you can verify it like in the graph, the drawing. You're gonna see that the drawing is never gonna cross on the y-axis. Like there is no number in here that's gonna be intercepted by the drawing. So yeah, it is okay. There is no y-intercept, so it's okay. The y-intercept doesn't exist. Those will be the first 3 steps for working with this type of graph. Remember, it's not a function, this is just a relation. All of the functions are relations. Any drawing you might see is a relation, but in this case this is not a function, it's just a relation. Not all of the drawings are functions.